Some people enjoy being disrespectful. They test your patience, try to get under your skin, and wait for you to lose control. That's what they want. But here's the truth. When you lose your temper, they win. Real strength comes from staying calm and delivering a response that is so composed, yet sharp, that it leaves them speechless. No shouting, no unnecessary emotions, just calculated words that make them regret ever disrespecting you. In this video, you'll learn powerful responses that immediately put rude people in their place. Say these, and you'll never feel disrespected again. By the way, if you love deep, thought-provoking insights on personal growth, self-improvement, and navigating life with wisdom, you'll love my free newsletter. Every Sunday, I share powerful lessons, bold truths, and practical strategies to help you grow. And it's completely free. If you're interested, sign up using the link below and start receiving valuable content straight to your inbox every week. Also, if you're a brand looking to collaborate and connect with a highly engaged audience, feel free to reach out via my email in the description. Let's create something meaningful together. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it. This is one of the most underrated, yet powerful responses you can use when dealing with arrogant, judgmental, or rude individuals. It's not an attack. It's not emotional. It's simply a reminder that their words hold no weight in your life. And nothing frustrates an egotistical person more than being dismissed. Rude people don't put you down because they want to help or because they believe they're right. They do it because they want to feel superior, like their opinion is the only one that matters. They want to control the conversation and make you feel like you have to listen to them. The moment I realized this, my life changed. I used to think I had to justify myself to people. If someone criticized my choices, I felt the need to explain. If they mocked something I was passionate about, I tried to convince them it mattered. But that was a mistake. I remember working on a project that meant a lot to me. I spent weeks on it, staying up late, pushing through challenges, making sacrifices. Then, one day, I shared my idea with someone I considered a friend, and he just smirked and said, "That's a waste of time. No one will care." The old me would have argued. I would have listed all the reasons why my project had value, why I was passionate about it, why he was wrong. But I asked myself, why was I explaining myself to someone who had never created anything in his life? So I simply smiled and said, "You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it." Then I changed the subject. And you know what? He had nothing left to say. He expected me to get defensive, to fight for his approval. But by dismissing him completely, I took all his power away. And I know he felt it. This response is so powerful because it denies rude people the reaction they crave. They want to see you flustered, defensive, upset. But when you make it clear that their words don't affect you, it drives them crazy. People hate feeling ignored, especially when they're trying to put you down. That's why this response is so effective. It subtly reminds them that their words are meaningless to you. And that's the worst thing you can do to someone who thinks they're important. When should you use this? When someone mocks your career path or life choices, just smile and say, "You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it." If a family member judges your decisions, remind them, "You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it." When a coworker belittles your ideas, calmly say, "You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it," and move on. The truth is, most of the people who criticize you aren't doing better than you, they're just loud. And the louder they are, the more insecure they feel inside. There's an old saying, a lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. That's the mindset you need. The next time someone rudely tells you what they think about your life, don't argue. Don't defend yourself. Just smile, say, "You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to ignore it," and move on. Because at the end of the day, your life is yours, and their opinions are irrelevant. If I had $1 for every smart thing you said, I'd be broke. This response is a game changer because it does two things at once. It sounds playful, but it cuts deep. It may seem like a joke on the surface, but the meaning is brutal. You're essentially saying they never say anything intelligent without actually saying it. It exposes their lack of substance. Rude people often talk a lot, but say very little of value. This line highlights that. The best part? It's hard to respond to. If they get angry, they look defensive. If they try to argue, they prove your point. Either way, you win. I once had a classmate, let's call him Ryan. Ryan had one personality trait, making fun of people. He wasn't particularly smart, funny, or successful, but he acted like he was. His whole thing was talking loudly, throwing in sarcastic insults, and making others feel small so he could feel big. One day, we were in a group conversation, and I was explaining something. Ryan, trying to be funny, interrupted with, "Oh yeah, because you're such a genius, right?" In that sarcastic tone people use when they think they're the smartest in the room. Everyone laughed. Not because it was funny, but because he was loud and confident. In moments like that, you have two choices: let them get away with it or shut them down. So I just smiled and said, "Ryan, if I had $1 for every smart thing you said, I'd be broke." Silence. One guy choked on his drink. Someone else whispered, "Oh, damn." And Ryan, he just sat there, shifting in his seat, trying to think of something, but he had nothing. That's when I realized loud people aren't always smart people, and if you call them out the right way, they crumble. Why does this line hit so hard? It calls them out without being outright rude. You're not directly calling them dumb, but you're making it clear they never say anything valuable. It flips the power dynamic. Rude people thrive on making others feel small. This response turns their own game against them. It puts them in a no-win situation. If they argue, they just look even less intelligent. If they stay silent, they admit defeat. Either way, you win. When should you use this? When someone constantly interrupts with sarcastic insults, shut them down with this line. If a coworker acts superior but never contributes anything meaningful, this is perfect. If a friend always mocks you but never says anything insightful themselves, it's time to put them in their place. People who love to mock others usually have nothing valuable to offer. They hide behind sarcasm, thinking it makes them look smart, but in reality, it just covers up their insecurity. The best way to deal with them? Expose them. Next time someone who never says anything meaningful tries to act like they're the smartest person in the room, just hit them with, "If I had $1 for every smart thing you said, I'd be broke." Then watch them struggle to come up with a response. I shared a suggestion, nothing major, just a small idea to improve the workflow. But before I could even finish my thought, Jake rolled his eyes and said, "Yeah, because you're such an expert, right?" His tone was dismissive, sarcastic, and completely unnecessary. A few years ago, I might have taken the bait. I would have tried to defend myself, justify my reasoning, or maybe even snap back. But that day, I wasn't going to play his game. I leaned back, looked at him, and simply said, "I don't argue with people who thrive on disrespect." Then I stayed silent. The entire room went quiet. Everyone was waiting for Jake to say something, but he had nothing. What could he say? If he kept pushing, he'd only prove my point. If he tried to backtrack, he'd look weak. He sat there fidgeting, struggling to come up with a response, but there wasn't one. The best part? After that moment, he never pulled that nonsense with me again. Why is this line so powerful? Because it calls out their behavior without lowering yourself to their level. You're not insulting them, you're defining them. And that stings a lot more. It takes away their control. People like that thrive on getting reactions from others. When you refuse to give them one, they lose. It forces them to reevaluate their behavior, even if they never admit it. You've just held up a mirror to them. When should you use this response? When someone keeps trying to provoke you, rather than feeding their negativity, starve it. When a coworker or boss belittles you, this response makes it clear that you won't tolerate disrespect. When a friend or family member talks down to you, being close doesn't give them a free pass to be rude. When a stranger is trying to get under your skin, not every battle is worth fighting, and some people aren't even worth acknowledging. Here's the harsh truth. Some people don't argue to solve anything. They argue just to win. They get satisfaction from making others upset. So the best move? No response at all. Instead, drop this line. I don't argue with people who thrive on disrespect, and then walk away. Because the moment they realize they have no power over you, they have already lost. Your attitude isn't going to get you very far in life. This isn't just a comeback, it's a wake-up call. People who go around being rude, dismissive, and condescending think they're getting ahead, but in reality, that attitude is a one-way ticket to nowhere. Rude people mistake arrogance for confidence, but life doesn't work that way. No one respects a person who treats others poorly. No boss promotes someone who can't work well with others. No one wants to build a relationship with someone who constantly belittles people. And no successful person ever got ahead by running their mouth instead of their brain. So when you say your attitude isn't going to get you very far in life, you're not just shutting them down. You're making them confront their own failure. You're forcing them to recognize that their toxic behavior will eventually backfire. Personal experience. I used this line once and watched it work instantly. A few years ago, I worked with someone who thought being rude was part of his personality. Let's call him Mark. Mark had a habit of talking down to everyone. If you made a mistake, he'd roll his eyes instead of offering help. If you had an idea, he'd dismiss it before even listening. He believed that making others feel small made him look bigger. One day during a meeting, he snapped at a coworker and said, "Maybe if you actually knew what you were talking about, we wouldn't be wasting time." The room was tense, but no one spoke up. Because that's what rude people count on. They rely on others staying silent. But I wasn't about to let it slide. So I looked at him and said, "Your attitude isn't going to get you very far in life." Silence. At first, Mark smirked, acting like it didn't bother him. But as the meeting continued, I noticed something. He wasn't as confident anymore. He wasn't laughing. For the first time, he looked uncomfortable. Why? Because deep down, he knew I was right. And here's the best part. A few months later, when promotions were announced, guess who got passed over? Mark. Because no matter how skilled you are, if people can't stand working with you, you're going nowhere. Why does this line work so well? It forces them to look at the bigger picture. Right now, they might think being rude gives them power. But where is that power leading them? Nowhere. It exposes their own self-sabotage. The truth is, their behavior isn't just annoying, it's ruining their chances in life. And that realization hurts a lot more than any insult ever could. When to use this line? When a coworker is rude and dismissive, remind them their behavior will cost them. When a stranger is disrespectful, some people need to hear this. When a family member keeps putting others down, being family doesn't mean they get a free pass. When a friend has a toxic attitude, if they're always negative and condescending, maybe it's time they hear the truth. Final thought. Some people think being rude makes them untouchable. But life has a way of humbling those who believe they're above everyone else. So next time someone disrespects you, hit them with, "Your attitude isn't going to get you very far in life." And then watch as they start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, they're the real problem. This conversation was over before it even started. This isn't just a comeback, it's a verbal checkmate. It's the kind of response that doesn't just end an argument, it erases it entirely. It tells the rude person, "You thought you were about to start a battle, but I'm not even stepping onto the battlefield." Disrespectful people thrive on conflict. They want to get under your skin, to pull you into an argument, because that's where they feel in control. But what happens when you refuse to engage? When you make it clear that their words hold no value, they lose all their power. By saying, "This conversation was over before it even started," you do something incredibly powerful. You strip them of control. You make them feel unimportant. You show them that they don't dictate your emotions. And trust me, Nothing frustrates a rude person more than being ignored. Why does this line hit so hard? Imagine a bully shoving someone, expecting them to fight back, but instead the person simply walks away unaffected. The bully is left standing there, powerless. That's exactly what happens when you use this line. You remove their ability to provoke, manipulate, or control you. You make them realize their words mean absolutely nothing, and that is the ultimate slap in the face. When to use this line? When someone is trying to bait you into an argument, you don't owe them your energy. When a coworker, boss, or acquaintance is being passive-aggressive, shut it down before it escalates. When a family member or friend is unnecessarily rude, you don't have to entertain negativity. When a stranger insults you for no reason, some people just want attention. Don't give it to them. Final thought, not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult deserves a response. Rude people win when they steal your energy, but they lose when you show them how little they matter. So next time someone tries to pull you into a pointless argument, just say, "This conversation was over before it even started," and then walk away while they sit there stunned, realizing they just lost before they even began. No, they are just talking because they love hearing their own voice, expecting you to take the bait. But instead of taking their words seriously, you do the opposite. You act as if they are so insignificant that they are not even worth remembering. That is what makes this comeback so powerful. It acknowledges their effort just enough to dismiss it completely. Why does this phrase work like magic? Because it makes their words instantly worthless. Disrespectful people want you to carry their words with you, to replay them in your mind, to let them affect your confidence. But when you respond with, "Thanks for your input, I'll be sure to forget it immediately," you are telling them, "You just wasted your breath, and I am not even going to let your words live in my mind for more than a second." That is a crushing realization for them. It stops them in their tracks. They expected an argument. They expected anger. They expected you to justify yourself. Instead, you gave them casual indifference, a subtle way of saying, "You do not matter enough for me to engage with." That silence after your response, that is them realizing they just got played. It protects your energy. Some people love drama. They enjoy getting a reaction from others. But your peace of mind is worth more than their nonsense. Instead of engaging in a pointless back and forth, you use this phrase, cut the conversation short, and keep moving forward. How does this work in real life? At work, imagine a coworker constantly shoots down your ideas in meetings. Not because they are bad, but because they love being critical. They smirk and say, "That is an interesting take, but let's leave the serious suggestions to the experts." Instead of getting flustered, you calmly reply, "Thanks for your input, I'll be sure to forget it immediately." Then, you keep speaking like their words never even existed. That response instantly makes them look foolish in front of everyone. With toxic friends or relatives, a family member makes a snide remark about your career or life choices. "Oh, still chasing that dream of yours? When are you going to get serious about life?" Instead of explaining yourself, defending your choices, or letting their words affect you, you simply smile and say, "I appreciate the comment. It's already erased from my mind." Then you change the subject. They will feel the sting when they realize you do not care about their negativity. With strangers or online trolls, someone tries to put you down in a public setting or online, throwing an unnecessary insult your way. Instead of getting worked up, you respond with, "Oh, wow, you must have really thought that one would land. Thanks for the input. I'll forget it in about 3 seconds." The more casual you sound, the more devastating it is. The psychological power behind this response is simple. Rude people operate on a predictable pattern. They throw an insult, you react emotionally, and they feel powerful. But when you respond with effortless dismissal, you break their entire system. You take away their reward. You remind them that their words hold zero weight in your world. Some people just cannot help themselves. They live for drama, conflict, and pointless arguments. It is like they wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and think, how can I embarrass myself today? This comeback is brutal because it flips the script. They thought they were making you look bad, but now you have exposed the reality. They are only embarrassing themselves. And the worst part, they do not even realize it. Why does this response hit hard? Because it forces self-reflection, even if they won't admit it. When someone is being rude, they expect you to be defensive or upset. But this line makes them stop and think, wait, am I actually making a fool of myself? Even if their ego will not let them admit it, the seed has been planted. It shifts the attention back on them. Instead of defending yourself, you have now made them the center of attention in the worst way possible. If others are around, they will start noticing how ridiculous this person is acting. Now, the rude person is forced to either backpedal or double down on their foolishness, which only proves your point. It puts you in control. You are not angry, you are not flustered, you are calm, observant, and calling them out in a way that makes them look like the fool, not you. And the best part, you are doing it without breaking a sweat. How do you use this in real life? At work, imagine a coworker keeps interrupting you during a meeting, rolling their eyes or making snarky comments. Instead of getting frustrated, you pause, look at them, and say with a slight smirk, "You seem really dedicated to making a fool of yourself." Then you move on like they do not exist. Now they either sit there in awkward silence or try to defend themselves, which only makes them look worse. With a toxic friend or family member, a so-called friend keeps throwing passive-aggressive insults your way, trying to get under your skin. Maybe they say something like, "Wow, you actually did something right for once." You do not flinch. You just chuckle and say, "You seem really dedicated to making a fool of yourself." Then you keep enjoying your day while they sit there realizing they just played themselves. With a stranger or online troll, someone is being obnoxious in public or on social media, trying to drag you into their nonsense. Instead of engaging, you hit them with, "You seem really dedicated to making a fool of yourself. Keep up the hard work." Then you either walk away or log off, leaving them to deal with the weight of their own stupidity. The psychology behind this response is clear. Most rude people do not actually think they are being foolish. They think they are being clever, dominant, or winning the interaction. But when you call out their behavior for what it really is, you force them to face an uncomfortable truth. They are embarrassing themselves and everyone can see it. That is what makes this so effective. It does not just shut them down, it makes them second-guess themselves every time they try to act like a fool again. And that is real power. At the end of the day, dealing with rude people is not about out-insulting them, it is about outclassing them. You do not need to raise your voice, you do not need to argue, you do not even need to take them seriously. Because here is the truth. Disrespect only works when you let it get to you, but when you stay calm, throw back a sharp response, and walk away like their words meant nothing, that is when they feel the sting. That is when they realize they wasted their energy trying to bring you down, only to end up embarrassing themselves. So the next time someone disrespects you, remember, you have the power to make them regret it, not by stooping to their level, but by making it clear that their words are meaningless to you. And once they realize that, you have already won. Thank you.